All right, let's take a trip. We're going way back in time to a world that you think you know, but is filled with secrets. A world of giants, living in the shadows of even bigger giants.
So, when I say the age of dinosaurs, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Go on, get a picture in your mind. I'm willing to bet it's something pretty specific.
Yeah, you're probably seeing a T-Rex roaring, right? Or maybe some giant long-necked Brachiosaurus peacefully eating from a treetop, a planet completely run by dinosaurs. And look, you're not wrong, but you're not seeing the whole picture. Not even close.
Because the truth is, dinosaurs shared their world with a whole host of other incredible and frankly terrifying creatures. Millions of years ago, this planet was a much wilder, weirder, and way more dangerous place than we usually give it credit for.
So to start, let's do something you might not normally do when thinking about dinosaurs. Let's look up into the skies of the Mesozoic era, because that domain, it wasn't ruled by dinosaurs at all.
While the dinosaurs were without a doubt the kings of the land, the skies belonged to a totally different group, the Pterosaurs. And this is super important. These were not flying dinosaurs. They were a completely separate branch of flying reptiles that evolved right alongside them. And some of them got, well, absolutely enormous.
11 meters. Just let that number sink in for a second. 11 meters. What in the world could that possibly be?
That's the wingspan of the Quetzalcoatlus, one of the biggest pterosaurs that ever lived. We are talking about a living, breathing reptile soaring over your head with a wingspan of a Cessna. It's just completely mind-boggling. Okay, so the skies were terrifying. Got it. But what about the water? You know, if you thought a prehistoric swim sounded like a nice way to cool off, you might want to think again. The oceans and rivers were just as packed with danger.
Let me throw another number at you. Over 15 meters long. To put that in perspective, we're talking about something longer than a school bus.
This was the Mosasaurus. This creature wasn't just a big swimmer. It was the absolute apex predator of the ancient seas. With these huge, powerful jaws just packed with razor-sharp teeth, it was at the very, very top of the marine food chain. Nothing messed with it.
But you weren't safe even if you stayed out of the deep ocean. Any dinosaur that wandered down to a river or a coastline for a drink had to be very, very careful, because often an ambush was waiting.
And this is why. Meet Deinosuchus, a monstrous prehistoric crocodilian. This thing was so big and so powerful, it didn't just eat fish, it hunted dinosaurs. Its whole strategy was built on that classic crocodile ambush, exploding from the water and using an absolutely crushing bite force to take down animals many times its own size.
Okay, so we've covered the sheer brute force of these monsters. But let's shift gears to something a little more subtle, but honestly, maybe even more amazing. A creature that forges this incredible link between that ancient world and our world today.
So to really get it, we need to quickly talk about this idea of a transitional fossil. It's exactly what it sounds like. Think of it as a perfect snapshot of evolution caught in the act. An animal that is a clear, undeniable bridge between one type of creature and the one it evolved into.
Which brings us to this, Archaeopteryx. This might be the most famous transitional fossil ever found, and for good reason. It's the perfect mix. It had feathers and wings, totally bird-like. But it also had a jaw full of sharp teeth, little claws on its wings, and a long bony tail, all classic dinosaur features. This is the smoking gun. It's the proof that the birds you see outside your window are, in fact, living dinosaurs.
So when you put it all together, giants ruling the skies, apex predators in the seas, and dinosaur hunting crocs in the rivers, you get a picture of a planet that truly was an age of monsters. And all of this happened on a timescale that is it's almost impossible for us to wrap our heads around.
I mean, the Mesozoic era lasted for nearly 200 million years. That's hundreds of times longer than humans have even existed. And then, 66 million years ago, this entire world of giants just stopped. It came to a sudden, catastrophic end.
So why should we care about all this? These creatures are more than just cool movie monsters or dusty museum displays. Looking back at this lost world is actually incredibly important for us today. But what's the real reason it matters?
Because this ancient world is like a giant, real-life laboratory for our planet. Studying it helps us understand the nuts and bolts of evolution, like with Archaeopteryx. It gives us hard data on what happens during massive, rapid climate change, which feels pretty relevant today, doesn't it?
And maybe most importantly, it shows us just how fragile a complex ecosystem can be, but also how life finds a way to respond and rebound, even after a mass extinction.
So remember, the dinosaurs ruled the land, but they were far from alone. Their world was populated by a whole cast of other giants and incredible creatures. It wasn't just the age of dinosaurs. It was, in every sense of the word, an age of monsters.